But we're going to go ahead, and we thought the moms here kind of from every stage of motherhood almost, right? We got the seasoned veteran Wendy, who's a mom and a grandma, all right? So we also might just let you talk the whole time, all right? I think the others might like that as well. But this is Emily Glisson, Raquel, and Stacy. And so we thought they're going to share a little bit about what it's like to be a mom and share a little bit about their story and some of the things that kind of were the most helpful in their motherhood journey. So how about we do this? You want to start by just introducing yourself, kind of why you're a mom and what kind of kids you got and what kids you have. So let's do that. How about, you want to start over here? Go ahead, Wendy.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. Well, I have 3 children. Bobby's 39, Billy's 36, and Nathan's 33, and I can't believe how fast the time went. And I'm not joking about that. That's me.
Great, yeah, that's great. I mean, what do you got? How many kids? And...
Hello, I'm Emily. I've got 3 kids. They're all back over there with Dad, so if there's screaming from that area, that's likely what's going on. There's the oldest, almost 5, the middle, almost 3, and the youngest is going to be 1 in a couple weeks. So I think I'm done here, right? That's all I have to say about my motherhood.
We all know that if you don't run back there, then your kids are in danger, I think. So leaving them with Dad. Just a joke. We like Christian. Go ahead, Raquel.
Sure. I have some young adults, 2 girls, 23 and 20, and then some teenagers, 2 boys, 16 and 13.
Nice. And you are like almost one step closer to being a grandma because...
But don't tell Kaylee that or she'll freak out.
Okay. She just got engaged, so, we're kind of, we're one step closer.
Hi, I'm Stacy. I'm the mom up here representing teenagers. I have almost 3 of them. My daughter Hannah is 17, Benjamin is 14, and Jefferson is 12. And I'm super lucky because I think they are the best, and I love this season. I do. I'm not lying. I'm really not.
Miracles do happen, right? That's great. So thanks. So the first question we kind of wanted to ask is, I mean, everyone know I made a joke a couple years ago that I don't know what the big deal about being a mom is. It's not that hard, right? But it's clearly very hard, and the job you have is difficult. We'd love to know kind of what is one of the more difficult things or hardest parts about being a mom in your motherhood journey. And I will let whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll go because I'm at this end of the spectrum. So when Pastor Dan presented these questions to me, a little over a month ago, I started jotting some things down on my phone and writing down thoughts. And then 4 weeks ago, I think, during his message, he said a question, and I was like, that's what I wrote down on my phone. Wow, Pastor Dan, I'm really good at this. So that question is, am I doing the right things with the time I have with my kids? I think that right there, at least in this part of my motherhood, is the hardest thing because it's so stressful as a new mom. And I think the 2 things that make that hard is the word right and the word time. So with the word right, you've got all these voices coming at you all the time. What's right? What's wrong? What's good? What's bad? Organic, GMOs. I don't know what's going on with all these things. There's all this information you have to filter and then come to a decision on every single thing in your kid's life. And it's adding more stress and anxiety to an already hard time. And then the time part, it's like, well, there is no time. I've got 3 kids under 5. I work full time outside the home. I've got 2.5 hours a day, maybe, with my kids. How do I maximize this time and optimize it and be a good mom and feel like I'm doing a good job? It's like, is this some kind of a sick joke? Am I being punked? Is this really you think I need to do this? So just navigating that and seeing how God's at work in that has been a journey. It's been a stressful journey, but I can see a lot of what's good, and I think that'll be our next part of the question we'll answer. But
Nice. Did you land on fully organic? You buy all organic?
Absolutely not. When I see my kids eating dirt outside, I mean, it's organic, but when you see that's happening, it's just, well, I guess it doesn't really matter what goes in that cast iron stomach. Something's happening with those children, and I think non-organic is going to be just fine for their nutrition.
And you're a certified medical practitioner, so I mean, this is
Absolutely.
There you go. You're welcome.
It's all good.
She just saved everyone like hundreds of dollars a month,
Yeah.
so you're welcome. Thanks, Emily. Who's next?
I'll go next if we're going in order of seasons here. Okay. Yeah, so I've definitely, this is what's been hardest, yes. I've definitely struggled a lot with overwhelm, especially in the younger years, and have transitioned out of overwhelm into more of like worry and fear. I now have a daughter who's driving and hopefully soon driving on her own, and just thinking about what it was like sending them off to school for the first time with people that you don't know, and now they're riding with people that aren't me or their father. Those are the things that keep you up at night. But really, the hardest, I think, has been watching them struggle, especially, at school with different friends, mean kids, enough said, heartbreak, and then disappointments, big disappointments, which there has been plenty in this past year, and just watching them, your disappointment's enough, but then to have to handle their disappointment as well is just like, it's too much sometimes. So just helping them through that, and I don't want to miss anything that I felt was important here. So, yes, when they hurt, you hurt. So it's sort of how I handle that. I guess I'm still figuring that out, but I think that just watching who they're becoming has helped with that, and they're growing in their character. So not rushing in to kiss the boo-boos and fix everything and wanting to make it better and make them feel better, because of course I do, but letting them experience these character building, life experiences, helping them grow up into who they're to become. So, yeah.
I imagine once you get even an inkling of figuring it out, and then the next day or the next week it changes, right? You got to figure it all out again, right? Especially with teenagers. But thanks, Stacy.
Yeah, I think mine is along the same line, Stace. There's so many things that I could say that are hard about parenting, right? There's a myriad of things, but I think for me, one of the most difficult things are when my kids need to be corrected in some way. So maybe something that they're struggling with, or a sin that they're struggling with. And as a parent, you want to help them with that. When they're little, it's a little easier to just say, no, and here it is, and then it's a little easier to just, this is how it is. But when they get older, you want them to try to navigate that. So when I'm working through something with them and I feel helpless, it's very difficult because I want to try to fix it and I can't do it. So I'm going to the Lord and I'm praying about it and I'm saying, what do I do? And I'm in that helpless state. So then I say, okay, God, speak to them and, do whatever you're going to do and let your Holy Spirit, work in them. So now I have to stand aside and I have to let God do the work. And surprisingly, I don't really want to step aside and let God do the work because I want to go in there and I want to do it like I've been doing it since they've been little. And I don't really want to step aside. And so then I have to wait. And I have to let my kids, as they're growing older, I have to let their own faith walk. I have to let that blossom and bloom. And then I have to just be patient. And then I have to allow myself to trust the Lord. So am I going to do that? Can I do that? And that's the hard part for me, to say, am I going to trust God? And then just tick-tock, is it going to happen? And of course, while God is doing it at His timing, it's His way, it's always better. And then great conversation happens with my kids. And, you probably know this too, Stace, and then you go, oh, this is so good. And God does do it. Surprisingly, wow, God's way is the best way, right? And God does His work in them. And so really that's been the hardest for me to stand back and let God do his work. And it really is always the best. Surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise. Dan's been right the whole time, right? All of us preaching. No, that. You finally get the microphone and you didn't say anything about your husband. You're such a great wife and mom. So thanks for calling. Yeah. All right.
I don't have to say anything because they just said everything all through all those
That's
stages.
wisdom. You just let them go first and then you say that, right?
That's right. That's like, okay, all those things. It definitely is like, are you doing it right? Now, you know, I listened to Emily and I was like, boy, I can remember being there. And you know what? It doesn't get any easier, and you still say, at my stage, am I doing it right? You know, do I help? How much do I help? Sorry about that. But just trying to be the best Christian mom that you can possibly be. And what does that look like? And I think probably a lot of people in this room that I've talked about motherhood to, I've said, you know, when they're little, you're physically exhausted, just physically exhausted. And I remember that. But when you're older and they're older, you're mentally exhausted. And I'd like to say that it gets easier, but it does not get easier. It just gets more complicated. I know, it's not comforting, is it? It's a wonderful journey. It's a beautiful journey, and the journey's forever for us. You know, I mean, your mom's forever. But the wisdom that you have to seek from God, I mean, it's just absolutely continually on your knees, you know, because they're beautiful lives that God's entrusted to you. And it just, like I say, I feel bad that I have to say it doesn't get easier, but it just gets different. And you just keep, you know, trying to, I mean, I still to this day, I keep trying to take it to myself, and then I give it to God, and then I take it back, and then I give them to God, and then I take them back, and then I give them. So it's, you know, a constant, you know, just constant. So
The good news is they eventually stop eating dirt. Does that happen, or? No?
Yes.
39-year-olds,
Yes.
no. Billy's still eating dirt, yeah. That's great. Yeah, so what are some of the things, I mean, you all have, again, wealth of experience. What are some of the things in the midst of all this hardship or the difficulties of motherhood? What are the things that you kind of found were the most helpful in kind of navigating those hardships and contributing to you being the best moms, the best Jesus-loving moms you can be?
Well, for me, there's three things that I really identified so far that I found to be helpful. And the first thing is always looking at my expectations and like readjusting them all the time. Like you can't go into a weekend with a to-do list 20 items long and be like, yeah, I'm going to get all this done. So I look at it again and say, okay, pick two, and maybe the kids can help with it, and you know, feel good about getting that done. Or like, you know, I'm looking up recipes, all these things I want to do. I'm like, okay, a home-cooked meal every single night, not going to happen. You're going to have some cereal nights, and just, that's okay. That's the season you're in, that's life, and it's all right. They'll have dirt one night, and one night they'll have cereal. So, you know, just readjusting expectations for myself, for my kids, and making sure they're realistic, because 9 times out of 10 they are definitely not. You know, you want to be here and settle for here, and that's great, and that's okay. So just adjusting to that, kind of what I thought, like the mom I wanted to be. It's great, different, but it's great. It's good. And the second thing that's helped is learning how to apologize. I didn't realize until I became a mom that I really was not that good at apologizing. I didn't really have like a process down. And as far as doing things right as a mom, there's most of the time I'm not. I'm doing things wrong, and I'm learning how to apologize to my kids. Like, wow, I'm really not good at this. I need to figure this out. And so like we've settled on a dialogue that we go through. It's basically, I haven't memorized at this point, but you know, going through that process and turning something that might have been a negative experience into a positive one, and talking to my kids about gospel forgiveness and how I'm so thankful for that God forgives us, and how we can forgive each other when we mess up. And it's not, you know, we do get angry, we get frustrated, but it's not okay to react like this. And I do that a lot with my kids too, because the tantrums are pretty much constant. So just trying to turn those moments like that and learning how to apologize. I didn't think that's something I'd need to do in my 30s, but finally, I think I might be starting to get it. And the last thing that's been really helpful is just talking to God and praying. You know, the stress in motherhood is relentless and constant, and so my response in prayer has to be that way too. And I know Pastor Dan talked about that same message when he was talking about the question that I posed in the first section. And prayer is our response. It really does help, even if it's just for 5 seconds. Okay, God, please give me patience in this moment. Let me not turn into the Hulk mom that's creeping out of me right now. And prayer helps, not because when I pray, God magically flips a magic wand and my circumstances are different or things are fixed. That's not why it helps. It helps because it reminds me of God's goodness and his faithfulness, and that he's here and that he cares about what I'm going through right now. It reminds me that when I pray all those things, it dissolves my doubt. It dissolves that anxiety and stress. And just to say, it's okay. We're going to get through this. God's here with me, and he's protecting, providing. He's at work in my family, and this is what's going on right now. And just kind of taking a step back. Prayer helps me do that rather than just keep forging on in my dirt-filled, toy-infested, existence.
Hulkamania, yeah. That's great. Want to go same direction? All right.
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple things as well to share. And I cannot be here in this place and be up here and not say how beyond thankful I am for this church family. In my experience, I became a mom here as a young adult, and just the friendships that I made during that time that were forged in the fire of babies and nursery and, all of that, that doesn't leave you. It stays with you for the rest of your life. And I'm just so grateful for those friends who are now, still my best friends, and for the encouragement that provided, and sort of the, the social interaction that you need when you're a young mom. We learn from each other, share our experiences, what works, what doesn't, our frustrations. Just having somebody to go to with that, I think, was just so helpful. What else? So right now, I'm watching my kids grow up into these really fantastic teenagers. They're figuring out who they are, and I'm trusting that the Lord is working in their life through, I talked about what's been hard is watching them go through these experiences. Well, also what's helpful is seeing how they've grown from those experiences. And also just looking back and remembering in my own walk in Christ, and how there was a time in my life that, I was lost and I was down, and just how, if God can capture my heart and bring me back and grow me up into who he's made me to be, then what more can he do with my children who I trust in him? So I think what helps the most is knowing that, gosh, if he can do what he's done with me, he's in good hands, not just my hands, but my kids are in his hands, and I just continually have to surrender that to him every day. But I definitely am encouraged by that, and I'm thankful for all of you who contribute, especially Jim and Carrie and all these fantastic people who pour into their lives, and it really, it's truly helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, watching other moms and talking to other moms has definitely encouraged me. It's not necessarily talking with other moms, although we do that a lot with each other, but sometimes just watching you, it means a lot to me to see how you're parenting and what you've done, so thank you for that. Sometimes Dan will say, you've said it a few times, honey, through the years, if God had 2 kids and they disobeyed him, then you don't, Adam and Eve, then we don't have to always feel so bad. So sometimes I remind myself of that about my own kids. So that helps me sometimes. And as I've grown up, the Word of God has been taught to me from when I was really little. You know, in my family, my mom and dad, and in all the churches I've gone to, all my Sunday school teachers, and I went to a Christian school, and the Word of God is deep in my heart. And I'm so thankful for that. And as we've raised our kids, they've mostly gone to public school. So when my kids come home, I'm thankful that as they come home and I say, you know, tell me what happened in school today. What did you learn? They sometimes the nonsense that they tell me that they learn is just crazy. It is crazy. And so I'm able to come back to the Word and say, let me tell you what God has to say about that in the Word. Or they'll say, this is what's happening with my friends in school, or this is the sadness that's happening. And it's, you know, we'll talk about their families and just, it's very sad in their own little world. And I'll say, you know, this is, let's talk about God's Word and let's see what God has to say about that. So I'm just thankful for the Bible, and it's been so helpful in raising my kids to say, this is the biblical worldview. Let's face it, our world is getting crazier and crazier, and I don't have to say, this is what I think about it. I can say, here's the truth, and the truth is what God brings to us in the Bible. If I didn't have that, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would say to them. So we have great conversation, and you know, that's another thing. Have great conversation with your kids when they're real little, and then keep doing that as they get older and older, so that you can talk about anything. And so we do. And sometimes I bug them a little bit, and they're like, Mom, you know, do we have to be talking about? And I say, yes, we do. Let's keep talking, and let's see what God has to say. These aren't my thoughts. These are God's thoughts. So let's keep bringing them to the forefront. So I can say, here's God's truth about whatever they're learning. It's been so helpful in our home.
Nice.
Okay. The first thing that I have to say is that the day I became a mother, I also became a born-again Christian. So that's that's the first thing that helped me, is that literally when I was laying there and they were cleaning Bobby up, and I was there by myself, I was crying out to the Lord and saying, Gary and I don't want to do this on our own. You know, and I didn't understand it all at the time, but I just knew that I wanted all that God had for us, and I knew that I wanted Him to be in the center of our parenting. So that was the first thing. So that's really special to me, that's also my born-again birthday. So the second thing is that invest in your marriage. I think the best gift you can give your kids, whether they're, you know, 1 day old or 50 years old, is to have a good, strong marriage and to invest in your marriage. I've seen so many times when people have, you know, it's just so exhausting to deal with kids that they forget about investing in a really strong marriage. And that's the best gift you can give your kids. And then my mom was really really important in my life, bringing up my kids. I went to my mom a lot to ask her questions. And then the church, like Stacy said, you even have one or two really good friends within the church that you can go to, that you can talk with, that you can learn from, that you can cry with, that you can be really honest with, and bring your kids up in the church together. That's just invaluable. And it doesn't end. You know, we have really strong friends now that we share with and pray with. And we can look back here, and I talk about it often, about people that have really invested in praying for our kids. And that's just so important. You know, it's important to know that you don't have to always get it right, that no one's perfect except for Christ. So we know that we're going to fail. We just have to keep getting back up and trying again, you know, and just trusting God.
I'm going to ask one more question just because something that kind of came up. But you mentioned being in a relationship with other women and kind of being able to laugh and cry with people and asking, am I doing this right? Can I ask you a question about the pressure that moms nowadays feel when they're bombarded with social media people who look like their life is just the greatest, right? They've got their kid. Every picture is like photoshopped, and all their kids are just looking like their lives are this great thing, and their mom's like, I mean, how much? I mean, even my wife and I were talking about the other day. We're like, she's trying to decide, well, when do I put Kennedy in a front-facing car seat? It's like, and she's watching these Instagram about, well, don't be shamed by other moms. It's like I don't know. I feel like the pressure of being a mom in terms of even the enhancement of just having to be perceived as though you've got it all figured out. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of how that plays, if it plays a role in your life, kind of how that plays a role, and then maybe, some of the things that, if you have any kind of helpful words of wisdom to overcome that. This is totally off script for them, so I apologize to the moms up here, but some of them are hyperventilating, but that's okay. So we're going to rely on Emily because she'll talk about kids eating dirt. But,
yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of it's called mom shaming on social media. So a mom will post a picture of her kids eating chicken nuggets. And, how cute with my kid eating chicken nuggets. And then all the comments are like, your kids should not be eating that. What are you doing? Why are they eating chicken nuggets? It's like, really? And my response to that, I just don't post a lot of posts on social media. And I kind of found myself in the beginning like, should I post this? What are they going to say about it? Am I momming? They've got boogers over here. The hair's all like Willy Wonka over here. Whatever. And so my comment will just be like, nap hair, don't care. When it should be like, look how cute my kid is. I'm just trying to share pictures with you and be real. But, I have a lot of friends I see on social media posting things, and it's just mom-shaming comments, and then there's battles. And so my response has just been not post about it, or I'll just comment and be like, you're doing a great job, and I'll just be like opposite of what everyone else is saying. It's not I think people are more mindful of it now than they were like a couple of years ago, but I'm not on social media a lot because of that. And in general, like social media and young moms, I just hated being that mom. Like my kids are doing something cute and I'm just like scrolling. Mom, look at this. And then you're like, wow, they're doing like handstands and stuff. Not really. They're not that talented yet. But I'm like, I'm missing out on my 2.5 hours a day that I have with my kids because I'm just scrolling. But social media is there's a lot of stress to look a certain way, that people want to present themselves in a certain way, and it's not always real. And even if it is real, then they get shamed for it. So it's really hard to see that. My response has just been, for myself, minimize my exposure on there and just try to encourage people that I see that might be getting bashed online.
That's great. One of the things about being a Christian is, like you said, we have a God who fully accepts us. We be part of a church family that fully embraces us and accepts us and loves us and kind of walks alongside us. And we have people who invest in our kids. And so thank you for investing in our church family by sitting up here and doing the uncomfortable business of talking in front of people. If you want personal motherhood coaching or parenting coaching at all, I'm going to open it up to their lives, all right? So you can call them, connect with them after service or something like that. But can you give them a hand as they walk off? And